to you by Baby Lock, for the love of sewing. Sulky Threads, express yourself with Sulky and create with confidence. Our exclusive fabric partners. Be sure to look for their newest lines of fabric.
Hi, welcome to Quiltmaker's Block Network. I'm Carolyn Beam with Quiltmaker magazine. Today I'm going to share with you Rose Twirls, block number 198. This block was designed by Elisa and appears in Quiltmaker's 100 Blocks Volume 2. Rose Twirls features a drunkard's path variation, and the fun part about this is it's sewn from triangle squares. So I'm going to show you how to make this creative unit and how to put the block together using curved seams. For this block, you'll need a background fabric, 2 contrasting fabrics that'll be the main part of the block, and then 2 additional fabrics that are going to be in the corners. To make this 12-inch block, you can find all the cutting and everything else you'll need on the right side of your screen. You'll need to make a plastic template of your B and your C patch, and you'll notice that I've drawn diagonal lines down the center of each of these templates. You start by making triangle square units from your background and one of your contrasting fabrics. What you'll do now is line up the diagonal line on your template with the diagonal seam line and your triangle square. You can trace around here and cut this patch out, and you'll do the same thing with your C. Line up the diagonal line on this template right on the seam line, trace around here and cut out these patches. So here are the patches cut out, and you'll notice that they both have the same shapes. This is the shape you'll use with your B template. It's a little bit larger than this one here. It does have the seam allowance, so the main thing is don't get confused with which patches you're sewing together. This patch here has the seam line. It is a little bit bigger, so these are the 2 patches that you're going to use. And you can just discard these. So these are the 2 units that you'll be sewing together. Now I want to show you how to sew a curved seam. The easy thing here is that you're going to match up the seam lines in the middle. You can pin starting with the seam line in the middle, match those up. And to sew curved seams, it's easier to sew with the concave patch on the top. Line up one end here and go ahead and pin it. Line up the other side. And you'll want to stick a few pins in the middle. Now there's one way that I like to do this when you're sewing a drunkard's path is you can just give a little stretch to the patches, and you'll see right where the patches line up here, and it's easy just to stick a pin in the center. Do the same on the other side. The other thing you can do is mark the center of this piece, the center of this piece, and then just join those 2 centers. And then you might want to stick a couple extra pins in there as well. Once you have both sides pinned, again you can go ahead, just give this a little stretch. Find where the approximate center is, stick a pin, and go ahead and put a couple more pins in here. And then you're ready to move to the sewing machine. Okay, I've already removed the first pin and lined up the edge of the patch here that I'm going to sew. So I'll sew up to the next pin. And once I get close, I'm going to stop so I can remove the pin. And then sew around the curve. Keep sewing to the next pin. Make sure your edges are lined up. And as you can see, I'm using a red thread here for contrast. Normally you would use a matching thread. As you're pulling the pins out, just make sure that your edges continue to stay lined up. And you just continue sewing in this manner till the whole seam is sewed. So continue sewing, stopping and removing each pin as you come to it so you don't sew over the pins. Okay, here you have your finished seam, and once you open it up, you'll go ahead and press your seams toward the outside like this, and you'll make 4 units that look like this. Now to each of these units you're going to add stitch and flip, and a little bit different on this stitch and flip, you'll see that the line is drawn not from the corner to corner as we usually do, but the line has started an inch down on one side and then drawn to the corner. So that's the line you're going to sew on. When you have that patch sewn on and trim off the extra, when you open it up, it kind of has a little wonky shape. So that's going to be squared up, and it will look like this, just square in the corner. Then to each unit you're going to add a stitch and flip patch on the top and a stitch and flip patch on the bottom, and you'll have your completed unit. So you'll go ahead and make 4 of these for the block. Now here I have 2 of these units sewn together, and you'll see because of the way that the stitch and flip was sewn on that these don't meet here, and that's how they're supposed to be. So you'll sew 2 together for each half of the block, and you'll make 2 halves, and then you'll sew the block together, and here's your completed block. Now let's look at a setting using this block. You'll notice that we just took 9 blocks and sewed them together, just straight set, 3 rows of 3, and they form an interesting pinwheel in the center. We'd love to have you join us on Facebook to see what the staff of Quiltmaker is up to and to learn of possible sewing opportunities. You can find Rose Twirls and 99 other amazing blocks in Quiltmaker's 100 Blocks Volume 2. Thanks for joining me on Quiltmaker's Block Network. I hope to see you next time. This block features Drunkard's Path using This block features Drunkard's Path using it uses triangle squares.